Welcome back to the PSL ranking. Going to week 3 now. This was a wild week. This was such an entertaining week, but also a very sad and devastating week because we've lost someone. We've lost someone in the league, a beloved person in the league. Honestly, one of the best drafters in the league. I don't care what anyone says. When you draft the whole Chandelure line, you are instantly the best drafter in the league. Up there with Zone, who just gets all the fun Pokemon that he wants to use. He doesn't care about points. He doesn't care how good they are. He just gets Pokemon that he wants to use, and I love it. But Queen's had to step back from the league. She said it's for personal reasons. I can only assume it's some sort of drug relapse. Hopefully she gets better and gets out of prison soon. She might be back. She said she's interested in returning when her prison sentence is over. So hopefully it all goes well for her. Next, now I want to talk about what these videos are. These videos are not a weekly review, so I'm not going to be able to go over every single team, and that's not what these videos are. Because I know some people are getting upset when their teams are mentioned, and that's fine. But these videos are a ranking video to project future performance by the opinion of the man in Vegas. Okay, I've got his notes right here. I'm just relaying his opinion. If your team doesn't really get mentioned, it's just because based off what I see in this season, it's kind of just going in line with the opinion at the very start in the first rankings video. There's just nothing really new to say, and it's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Sorry. If you're just doing what you were projected to do, then there's not much I could really say. Yeah, this isn't a weekly review video where I stop at every team and talk about their game. It's just a rankings video. Next, this league, it's a fun league. This is what this is. This is not a serious league. This is a league that started with me and my Twitch viewers, and not a single one of them knew what Draft League was. This was a brand new thing to everyone. So this is how crazy this league is. This turned to a 32 team league. It's more in-depth than any other league ever. We finish our drafts in 3 to 4 days on 32 teams, and it is insane. And it all started with 11 other people, me and 11 other people who didn't even know what draft was, had zero clue. Not a single one of them. Like, we'll bring on Thunder Punch Blissies, and it was wild. We were hyping it up, and it was fun. Like, the amount of fun that we had in seasons 1 and 2, it was mad. It was madness. It was so awesome. And that's what this league is. This is not a serious league. So if you have a sensitive arsehole and you can't handle your team getting moved down or not getting moved up because you think it should, then this league's probably just not for you. Like, it's probably just not. Like, I don't want to be added on Discord saying, why am I still grouped with certain teams, and like, why did I move down? Why did I move up? I'm just relaying the man in Vegas and his notes. I've got them all right here in this envelope. I'm just relaying his odds that he's projected to Euros to win a championship based on past performance. But this also isn't. If you want a list of rankings based on the exact results of what's happened, then just go look at the standings. They're right there. This is also not a standings video. I'm not going to. The man in Vegas, he's not going to make these rankings based on results exactly. He might use the results to shape his opinion on your future performance, but it's not an exact rankings video. So let's get straight into it. First, we'll see a new tier. We have a new B- tier, and also we have some new entries into the D tier. We have 5 new teams in the D tier. Now, before we get into these teams individually, why are these teams all in D tier? It's not necessarily because these teams all did really bad. It's because I think the group ahead of them just were a little bit better, and they pressed me a little bit more. I think there was a little gap between them, but they weren't enough to move them up to B-. So I had to move them down. So they will move down because the teams above kind of just popped off a little bit. So these are the teams here where I've struggled to really see something incredible yet. Now this is a really interesting week where individual Pokemon just kind of carried their team. And this was like, I don't know how many 5 or 6 performances there were by Pokemon, but I think it's up there like 5, which is 5 or 6, like the most we've ever had. And a lot of the teams were just unfortunately on the receiving end, and that just kind of happens sometimes. But there are a lot of insane Pokemon on some teams. Like we have Zeraora on the LA team. Like LA team, we have a new coach who's taking over historically one of the most losing franchises in the league. So he has a monstrous job ahead of him, but he has not been terrible. He has not been terrible. A big thing of why this team's in DT is that this is an incredibly dysfunctional franchise over the years. This has been incredibly dysfunctional. The fan base doesn't really know what success is. The players don't. The coaching staff doesn't. No one associated with LA Rampardos has ever really felt victory before. So it's going to be very tough to dig this team out of the hole. But I do believe he can do it. But I do think it's going to need a little bit of time just to kind of train up the players on the team. Detroit, I had so much money on fucking Detroit to make the playoffs, and he lost again. Detroit, you gotta pull it together, man. You gotta pull it together. I have my life savings on you to make the playoffs, dude. I have my life savings. You have to make the playoff game, the play-in game, and then win that game so you're officially a playoff team. I need to see it. I need to see it. Dallas. So this was... Their game was, I think, a little rough. I think they could have easily stopped, maybe not easily, but they definitely could have stopped the little grass teacup variant form from setting up the Carmine's strength set by just going into Little Monkey Guy and doing Prankstar. I think it was Taunt, like straight away, and just really just kind of limiting it. I think that was the best bet. They kind of held that back until like the last Pokemon left. But there were ways you could have maybe like gone for the taunt and then like switched out to something like Sizzle, or I can't remember who else you had on the team, and just try and weaken it down that way, while they can't use the strength set to kind of lower your attack. So C tier. Now we have Atlanta moving all the way down to C tier because they don't have a coach right now. They don't have a coach right now. No one knows what's going to happen with Atlanta. Good team, one of the fan favorites in the PSL, one of the fan favorites, but they don't have a coach, so we don't really know what's happening. Buffalo. Let's start with Buffalo here at the end. I love this team so much. I think this is my second favorite team. This is my second favorite team in the league right now, and they did just happen to lose to my favorite team in the league, Denver. But Denver and Buffalo, I really love these teams. Like I wanted to see these teams, not as much as Detroit because I have money on there and a little bias with my bank account. But look, I do love these two teams. Kansas City as well. I love Kansas City too. These are my top 3 teams. I really want to see these teams do well, and like, please just pull it together. Please. I don't care if you have to inject your players with steroids in their sleep. Do whatever you have to do. Just get them to win. But I have faith. Very fun teams to watch. Big fans. Now, B-. Now, I created the B- tier because you'll remember last week I said in the B tier, there was a lot of teams in B tier. I thought these teams in front was like a little bit in front of the ones below. So I thought, why not just create a tier here, a new tier. So you have the B-. Let's talk about Seattle. Now, another rough loss for Seattle. And the bad luck is just continuing. Now, who am I to ever question the coaching methods of a genius? I'm not going to. I'm never going to. But you know who is? The man in Vegas. The man in Vegas is. He's not a fan of Polly's off-season methods of taking his team to visit the Mexican cartel to help smuggle drugs across the border. Personally, I'm a gigantic fan of it because you got to make that extra money. It's in this economy, it's tough. So I'm a big fan of that. But the man in Vegas, he does think that this off-season activity, it's really taking a toll on the Pokemons. They're a little fatigued already coming into week 2, and they're susceptible to crits and missing moves and getting status, and it's showing a little bit. But personally, I think the man in Vegas is kind of full of shit. I fully support the off-season training methods, but that's his opinion. Green Bay. Now, I did throw a little joke out there that I was happy that this team lost, just so it justified my opinions on the trade. They can start winning now. I give you permission. I really do appreciate you protecting my image, but you can start winning now. I give you permission. Bring it back. Bring the season back. But look, overall, this was a very, very fun game to watch. I did love this game. Just maybe Glasgow could have put out a victory. New York. So New York had a 1-0 loss to Las Vegas. I was honestly very impressed. This was the most. I'm not more impressed of a losing team than I am this week than New York. I was so impressed. Really brand new coach, new team coming in, going toe to toe, in my opinion, out coaching Las Vegas. But why did Las Vegas win? Let me tell you why Las Vegas won. Because they have the all-time GOAT. Minio just said, "Hey, New York, suck my dick, suck my meteor penis," and he absolutely set up that shell smash and just came out of nowhere and won. I got nothing else to say. He just did Minio things. He did Minio things, and we all know what they are. Like, we don't need to explain it. We've all seen it before. Well, it did it again. Yeah, and that's what happens. Like, I do believe the criticisms I had of LA's team, really, the Las Vegas team, really kind of came through in that battle. But this is just what happens when you have the best Pokemon in the league. It comes out. He's the Leonardo Messi. Messi. He's the Messi guy. Okay. Now in Tier B, honestly, every single team here just had a very good week too. Except for Philadelphia. But 2-time champion, obviously known for having kind of messy regular seasons, and then whenever they make the playoffs, just don't sleep on them, because again, 2-time champion, 32-team league, it's very difficult to do. So Calder Colts. Now, if I remember, big win over an 8+ tier team in Cleveland, I think, from memory, 4-0 win, I think. Dominant performance. Really needed it after a week 1 loss to Miami. But I will say, in the game against Miami, good prep, very good prep. It really took a clutch performance from Laddie to bring it back. So honestly, 2 solid weeks against the 2 A+ tier teams, came out with an impressive loss and then a dominant victory. This team's on its way to being an A+ tier team. Or at least A. Just need to see it one more time. Show me that you're up there with the big dogs, and it's not a fluke. Just show me you're there. Show me you're there. Show me you're not going to crumble in playoffs. Like, make me believe. New York. Like, I have some severe doubts on this team, but this motherfucker is pulling it out again. Like, this team's so well coached. They're playing well. He is the Detroit Lions of the league in real life, when it was Dan Campbell's first season and everyone was kind of unsure what's kind of happening, and he's just pulling this team through, and they're winning. Cincinnati, that was a gigantic win, arguably up there with Indianapolis for the best win of the week. Going out and just pulling Donkey's pants down, beautiful to see. Well, not, you know what I'm trying to say. It was incredible. I believe this is the Tyranitar team. I was kind of disappointed to see Tyranitar get its balls cut off in like one hit, turn 2. That was disappointing, but he was able to bring it back, and I believe this was the Kingdra sweep. Dude, Kingdra. This was another team where it was over. Like, they were done. And then Kingdra just out of nowhere gets like 5 crits in a row after setting up. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Carolina, the team that I was very high on to start the season, like really high on, like one of the best overall teams roster-wise in the league, kind of just stepped up. It stepped the fuck up week 2 after a disappointing week 1. Huge win. Huge win. Let me see it again. The players, insane. They all stepped up. The defensive core, amazing. Like, this game was insane. Hippowdon. This is the Hippowdon team, I think. Let me check. It is. Okay. This is why I say it's important to have a full defensive core, one that's just insane. And look, there were lots of people calling me out for my tier list ranking, saying, hey, Hippowdon needs to be moved down. Hippowdon's not that good without sand, blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. Hippowdon is insane. Hippowdon is insane. One of the best defensive Pokemon in the league. It is a god, and it absolutely was vital in this victory, and so was Palafin. Palafin was actually a hero in this game. This was probably maybe the game of the season so far, I think. This is the only game where, under this new voting system, every single Pokemon deserved a 3. And this kind of weird thing that's happened this week where one Pokemon has absolutely dominated a game, where the votes 2 and 1 don't even really feel deserved. They're just kind of there because they clicked Stealth Rocks and that was it. But this game was like Breloom, Palafin, and just Hippowdon just slugging it out all game, and it was just a massive back and forth battle. 2v1, Breloom just versus Palafin and Hippowdon, and Hippowdon and Palafin just came out on top. But this game was fucking awesome. This was like some anime type shit. New Orleans and Washington. I compared these two teams together. I believe these two teams have had the same schedule so far. Just flip the week 1 and 2 opponents around. Just very good, solid performances. But one thing to notice, and this is something very, very important, when you're projecting future success, something that I learned a lot when I started learning how to bet on the NFL. Just because a team, you got to look at the opponents. And I believe, off the top of my head, they have both played Detroit and LA Rampardos. 2, historically, the most lesser winning franchises in the league. I think they have the worst win-loss record all time. So, again, you can only face who you face. They did absolutely dominate. All good things, nothing bad to say. But we just need to see this roster, this team, beat a high caliber opponent. Because we don't really know. Like, they were, if we're being honest, expected to dominate those games. They did exactly what they should do. But they were incredible performances. Incineroar, up there for Pokemon of the Week, which we're going to get to. We're going to get to the Pokemon of the Week at the end of the ranking, so make sure you stay for that. But incredible performance from Incineroar. Absolutely, that was an MVP caliber performance. And Ladner, he was determined. He was so determined coming into this season to really turn the image of the Washington Charmanders around. And he's doing it so far. Both teams 2-0, just incredible. But look, all of these teams up here have just had an incredible week too. Unfortunately, Philadelphia did lose to the Arizona, but when you got 2 teams in B playing each other, what a mess to lose. It was a really good game. And then we have Acid, who's on holiday. We all know what he's doing. A tier. Now, Cleveland dropped from A tier after the loss to the Colts. Now, this unfortunately has been the downfall of Cleveland. They seem to be very highly ranked all the time and just have an incredible team and perception. However, they just drop random games a little too consistently when they should win. If you want to be an A+ tier team, you have to beat teams in B tier. You just have to. You just can't. You can't have a look. Sometimes we just lose. If you want to be an A plus tier team, you have to beat teams in B tier. Like it's not a question. Like yeah, maybe you can drop one to in tier A. You're basically the same tier. But in tier B, if you want to be an A plus tier team, you have to beat them. You have to beat them. There's no way around it. 49ers, the TM 49ers. Now, this team, I was actually very, very impressed. Their week 2 performance was incredible. However, they did also kind of get their arse eaten out in week 1, which was a little bit embarrassing. But I believe they played that game late, so they played both their games in week 2, I think. So they had a big loss and then a big win. I don't really know what to do. There's kind of just like, okay, the big loss was rough. But Cleveland have had a big loss. Houston have had a big loss. Road Traders have had a big loss plus a win, which Mini pulled something out of his, you know what, to kind of come out with that win. And then the only other team that really doesn't have a blemish on their record here is Tampa Bay. But the reason I didn't move Tampa Bay up is because their second win was a forfeit win. And look, well, I'm not suggesting that he would have lost. The odds are that he would have won. It's A tier team versus a B minus team, but we never know. Like, I'm not going to disrespect my boy Diamond by saying that it was an instant loss. Diamond could have easily won that game, but we don't really know what would have happened. We don't really know, so I can't really move him at all. But so far, if he has a good week 3 performance, he doesn't really have anything negative about his team. And then A plus is Miami. Really only there because there hasn't really been anything bad to say about the season. Personally, I kind of feel like moving my team down to A, just with prepping with my team. I don't even know if it's bad. It's just the play style that it needs is something I'm not really used to, and I'm trying to learn as I go with how to like use it perfectly. But it is very fun, and I like kind of trying a new style, and like positioning Pokemon in like different kind of ways. So I don't really know if it's bad or if it's just something that I'm not fully comfortable with. But so far, hasn't really come to like bite me in the ass or anything. But if we lose eventually, then we will get moved down. But until like I can say something negative about the season, I can't really move them down when the teams below have all had like suffered a loss or like something negative throughout the season, except for Tampa Bay. So yeah, that's the rankings. Now, Pokemon of the week. Pokemon of the week. This is tough. A lot of people are gonna get offended here because there are a lot of Pokemon popped off. But I think that is tough. I don't know if I even just give one. Like, there was so many dominant forms. So there was Incineroar, the little grass teacup guy. Dunsparce had a really good game. There's a kill leader right now who's 8-1, I think, and I can't remember who it is. It is the teacup guy. And we have Kingdra, who had an insane game as well. But for Pokemon of the week, I think Minio also had a good game. I think I'm gonna give it to Kingdra. And the reason Kingdra is the Pokemon of the week is because, and this is just in line with Minio too, but I think just the fact that Kingdra pulled out crits just out of nowhere. I don't know the percentage chance of like the focus energy kind of crit thing. I don't know if it's 100%. If it is, then maybe this is impressive. It's in my head. I have a feeling it's something like 75%, but it could be 100%. But yeah, to just land like 5 crits in a row and just bring it back out of nothing, but not only to land 5 crits in a row, dodge a Draco Meteor in the face of Dragapult, then Terra Fairy on the second Draco Meteor to kind of bait in the second one to get the focus energy setup after the agility setup was so clutch. That was so clutch to not only get 5 crits in a row, but to dodge a Draco Meteor at the same time, then Terra Fairy to dodge the second one. Unbelievable. Like, this was like, I can guarantee you, Donkey's jaw was just left agape. I can guarantee you. Like, he would have been absolutely shocked. Like, he would have felt so good when he had his Dragapult versus Kingdra in. Like, he would have felt so good. And then all of a sudden, like, just this disastrous turn of events. But Kingdra absolutely, I think, deserves it. Incineroar, Minior, Dun Sparse, and the little green teacup. All deserve it as well. Like, they were all incredible. Palafin, Hippowdon, Breloom, all incredible games as well. They're all up there. Like, this is probably the greatest week in PSL history when it comes to Pokemon's individual performances. I think any of these Pokemon I've named, from the winner all the way down to Breloom and Hippowdon and Palafin, could all be Pokemon of the week in any other week. So, like, this was insane. Really, really good. So that's going to be the end of the video. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one for the rankings going into week 4.